Good evening, everyone. As you can see, Alicia is not on with us tonight. She had a family thing that she has to take care of. So it will just be me and our guest, Christopher Jansen, on tonight. But before we get in with into talking with Christopher, we have our little weekly spiel of information. We have on Turn Pages t-shirts available, ranges from size small all the way up to I think 2XL or 3XL. They are $25 plus shipping. If you're interested in long sleeves with the logo or hoodies with the logo and the little ghosty, feel free to contact us and we can get them ordered. Long sleeves are $35 plus shipping and hoodies are $45 plus shipping. And soon I hope to have another item available as well. We still have a couple of our Moxie Malas. That includes sodalite, crystal quartz, black tourmaline, labradorite, smoky quartz, and obsidian. They are our Moxie Mala exclusive bracelets just for Unturned Pages. So if you don't have one, get one because they are amazing. Our sponsors for the month of February is our guest, the paranormal medium, Christopher Lee Jansen. Small Town Productions, Larry Eisler. And then we have Breaking Fate Entertainment out of DeKalb, Illinois, Willie Atkins. He hosts Dork Arts and Oddities event every November. This year is November 15th and 16th down at the Altigen Hall, which is a huge castle down in DeKalb, which is amazing. Some events coming up that we always talk about real quick one is Paraventure. It's a all virtual event. It has Dave Schrader, Richard Estep, Shane Pittman, Larry Eisler, and Sarah Lomos, and some other amazing guests. That is on February. Wow, I can't talk today. April 5th. It is a 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern event. Great event, great cause. So check that out. And we have our Booze on the Battleship coming up in April, the last weekend of April. It includes Shane Pittman, Josh Purvis, Sarah Lomos, Sean Austin, Michael John Angus, Rochelle and Brian, Mary Lynn and Vince, Mike Galliano, Eric Vanderlyn, Mike Coro, and Franny. That is an amazing event. I will be there doing aura photography, so come down and hang out with us. And then we have Paranormal Rockdown happening in July. It's a great event hosted at Bradhead Manor. There's so many people at this event that I can't even start to list them all. So go check their Facebook page out for all that information. And then we have the one and only Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, also in July, the weekend after Paranormal Rockdown. Amazing causes, and it's just an amazing event held in downtown Gettysburg. So if you don't know anything about Gettysburg, go check it. Go check the history out. You should know about it. It's a great event. It's a big, happy family reunion. And then, as I said before, Dark Arts and Oddities event down in DeKalb, Illinois on November 15th and 16th. I will be there doing aura photography workshops. So check that out when I get all that information posted. And before we bring our guests on, I'm going to say hi to people in the chat. We have Kennedy. We have Dawn. We have Chris Mack in the house. We have John Covey in the house. So thank you all for joining in. If you're watching on my personal page, hop over to the Unturned Pages Facebook page because I can't see comments on my personal page on StreamYard for some reason. So hop over there so we can all chat and have fun in the chat tonight. But my guest tonight is Christopher Lee Jansen. He is the house medium for Fairfield County Infirmary out in Lancaster, Ohio. The building is owned by Adam Kimmel, but also he is a tarot reader. He is a paranormal investigator, a spiritual counselor and a end of the life doula, I believe. So we'll be talking about that. And then in the last 20 minutes or so, we will be doing one card readings for anyone in the chat. So stick around if you are interested in that. But let's bring our guest up. Hello.
Hello.
How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Hold on one second. If you guys wait here. Sorry, my daughter's trying to climb into the bed. If you hear
I've got something odd going on to my right too. I keep seeing this one random cat paw shooting underneath the door. It reminds me of The Shining when he's trying to get in the door. It's horrible.
Oh my God! Yes. And, yeah. I spent a night at the Stanley, and all I could think of was that, like, coming through the door at one point. I was like, I don't know why I'm staying here.
Oh, I've never been there. It's so on my list.
It's an amazing location. Like, the energy as you walk in is crazy. I did the midnight seance there, and that even was crazy. Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't know they did that there.
Yeah, my friend does the magic shows there, in the old carriage house. So, and then his friends do the seance at midnight.
Mom.
Oh, I love a good seance.
So for people who don't know who you are, can you give us a little bio of yourself?
Well, you did a pretty good job. You hit most of the things. As you mentioned, I am a psychic medium, tarot card reader, spiritual advisor, death midwife, energy worker, hypnotist, and I also teach dance and Pilates. So I guess I cover the gamut of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Yes, you are a trait of everything. You got everything going on with you.
I have many interests, and I've been very fortunate to have had the opportunity to really explore many of them. So I've been very fortunate in that sense.
Okay, hold on. Somebody wants to say hi.
Hi.
That's my daughter, River.
Aw, hi, River.
She's like all over mommy because I haven't been home all weekend. But, so what got you into the paranormal in the beginning? Like, did you have a paranormal experience, or did like TV shows come and get you curious?
I feel like I've always been drawn to, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to word it this way. I've been drawn toward anything dark my whole life. You know, I was the 8-year-old kid that hung out at the abandoned mausoleum with friends. Just my whole life, I've always had one foot in the darkness, for sure. And around the time I was 10, I started having some psychic dreams, and that's what opened that door for me. I also started learning tarot around the time I was 10.
Okay.
So things started pretty young and then just unfolded from there.
Yeah, sounds like it. And you travel all over the Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana area, and then kind of spread out when you can, right?
I do. I've been all over the place in recent years.
Hold on, what's up?
My cousins are in Pennsylvania.
Yes, your cousins are in Pennsylvania. Yes. She's like,
nice.
My cousins are in Pennsylvania, yes. So what was, besides like the haunted, the mausoleum, what was your first true investigation?
My first real investigation probably didn't happen until I was in my early 20s, and I was still in Milwaukee at the time.
Okay.
I don't even know if you'd call it a real investigation. It was really more just urban exploration at that time. I was doing a little bit of trespassing, so to speak.
Mama.
I don't do quite as much of that anymore. Normally, I enter places legally now, but normally.
Yes. Let's put this wording out. Please ask permission before you go into locations at this point.
Absolutely.
You don't need criminal history.
I've learned my lesson. No, one of the places that I fell in love with, I'd say early on, would be the DeKoven Center in Racine, Wisconsin.
Oh, I've never heard about that one.
It was a school for boys. It was a convent, a monastery, and now it's more of a bed and breakfast retreat center right on Lake Michigan. The building looks like a castle.
Ooh.
For a few years, I was renting a suite there to do a weekend-long mediumship immersion where I would take people and bring them into my world and take them through exercises and have them do meditations. The way the suites there were set up, one suite would have 6 rooms, 2 beds per room. The bathrooms are right there. They'd bring your food up to you. There'd be a main gathering area,
Oh, wow.
and then there'd be the whole grounds that you could walk. Well, one of the most well-known hauntings of this place, when it was a school for boys, it was run by a man whose title was the warden.
Oh, okay.
And the warden died in his room, in his suite, after falling outside during the snow and laying there in the outside for hours and hours. So he ended up developing pneumonia before they brought him in.
Oh, wow.
People were telling me that they couldn't stay in that suite. And that suite wasn't really set up for my purpose and how I would get the space there for my events. So coming out of one of my events, we had a horrible snowstorm.
Oh, no.
And I didn't want to drive home. And I called and said, hey, can we stay another night? And it would have been me and my ex at the time. And they said, well, you can stay if you don't mind the fact that there's no other guests and no staff. You'll be alone in the building.
You're like, game on.
I'm like, do I mind? It's
Do
like,
I
this is
mind?
Christmas morning. This is crazy. And I'm like, wait a minute. Do we have to stay in our room or can we go sleep elsewhere? And they're like, you can sleep wherever you want. Just leave a note so we know where to change the sheets.
Right?
I got off that phone and I was like, get down to the warden's suite now. And we ended up going to sleep down there. And I remember laying in bed that night and feeling this sensation across the top of my head, just like that.
Oh.
And the way we were laying in bed, we had our backs to each other. And I turned and looked, and there's no way my ex had moved.
Mm-hmm.
And before I could say anything, he said to me, did you feel that? So we both felt it. And when I thought about it, what might the warden have been doing at night? Going around checking on the kids, maybe brushing the hair out of their eyes?
Yeah.
So that was one of the first places I really fell in love with.
Oh, that sounds like an amazing location.
It is. I'll send you some pictures sometime so you can see
Yeah,
it. It's
definitely.
incredible.
That sounds, yeah, and that's not that far from me. I'm in like near Stillwater, Minnesota, so that's
Oh, yeah, that's not that far at all.
Mm-mm. When I make the trip down to Fairfield, it's about 11, 12 hours for me, so.
Oh, my goodness. Well, it's practically in my backyard. It's about 40 minutes from me.
Yeah, you're lucky. You get to go there often, so. Like
Total coincidence that I moved here where I did. I did not know the existence of FCI. I had no idea I was landing with that in my backyard. So one of those things that everything happens for a reason.
And as we're talking about FCI, here is a picture. If people don't know what FCI looks like, could you tell us a little history about FCI?
Yes. So we are just about at the threshold of 200 years. The building was built in 1828. Originally not the massive structure that you see there, originally a smaller structure and eventually added on to be the big brick structure that you see today. That building acted as a poor farm, a place for people that had nowhere to go, that may have been disabled, people who were passing through. There was an orphanage. At one point, late 1800s, when the county orphanage was built, that building, FCI, wasn't used as much as an orphanage, but still children would have been there. The building functioned that way until about 1986, when the health department and child services came in.
Yes.
But it said that there are up to 1,200 bodies buried right there on the grounds, many of which are believed to be buried upright instead of flat.
I remember that when they said, when patient told me that, I was like, upside, you're usually this way, not that
I
way.
know. And then, of course, there's the cemetery there where there's about 4, 5, 6 headstones, and that's it. So when you think all
Yeah,
those bodies, so few of them got any sort of recognition. It's kind of sad.
it's really sad. Yeah. And like I told you before we got on air, I first went to FCI in 2023.
Hmm.
And I get to go back this year for FCI Con, which I'm super excited about. I've
Yes,
never done any of Adam's events, so I'm like super excited.
they're all amazing events for sure.
Yeah. And
Of
it's like,
course, FCI Con's my favorite
because
because I'm a
that's
little
what you're like
biased.
housed out of. Yes. And we get to finally meet in person, which I'm super excited
I
about.
know. I can't wait.
We get to hang out in June, July, and August.
Yes, I will be at Gettysburg, by the way.
Yes, I heard that. I was like, I'm super excited.
I know. You'll be tired of me by the time all is said and done.
I know, right after ISS, we'll be sick of seeing each other. No,
I doubt that. But
no, we won't. It'll be fun. I'm super excited. And I've never met Adam in person yet because every time I go to FCI or Madison, we always try to team up and like meet and hang out because we've been friends on Facebook forever. And every time a snowstorm hits, a family emergency, or he has to go to one of the other locations, I'm like, I'm coming to FCI Con. I am going to find you. And we're going to meet in person.
he's absolutely amazing. So
Yeah.
he is an amazing person for sure.
So how did you meet Adam in the first place and get connected with FCI?
Well, this is really interesting. Apparently, Adam and I had become Facebook friends years before I ever went to FCI, years before I ever moved to Ohio, years before paranormal investigation really came to the forefront for me. So when a friend of mine suggested that I sign up to be a vendor for FCI Con, I did just that and showed up the day of. And when we were arriving and pulled in, Adam had come up and greeted me and was kind of like, "Hey, I know you. I've seen your work." And I'm like, okay, I
Okay.
didn't quite know who he was. But eventually I did realize that somehow we'd been Facebook friends for like 5 or 6 years previous to me even going there.
Oh,
So
wow.
again, just one of those things that says it was meant to be for me to land there.
Right? Definitely meant to be, right?
But I do
And
remember when I had the invitation to kind of move in and do readings and be the house psychic there, I was told just go pick a room, any room. And even having only been in the building one time, it's like I walked in, went straight, made a left, walked, made a right, boom, landed in a room, done. Didn't need to go look, didn't have a vision of that room. Just it's like I was pulled there.
you were pulled, yep. And for people who don't know, FCI has bats, a lot of bats. And Christina
Yeah.
does not like bats.
No. I do not like bats at all.
I'm officially scared of bats after going to FCI. Like, it was crazy. We were up on the floor with the jail cell.
It's the third floor.
We had one person in the jail, one person right outside the jail cell. I was a couple doors down, and my mom was down by the staircase. And all of a sudden, we heard like what sounded like me running, like footsteps running towards us. No, it was a goddamn bat flying at my head.
That's about enough to make my soul leave my body.
I was like, I'm out of here, and it kept trying to come at our heads. And my mom's like, "What is that goddamn net?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm running out of here. I'm going downstairs."
I'll be very honest. I really don't like anything that flies. I'm even a little bit afraid of butterflies.
And you go to FCI a lot and ISS that are full of bats.
Yeah, my bat trauma actually started at the Monroe House.
Oh, yeah. That one in the basement.
No, in the stairwell. It was March, and I'd been in the house for hours, and I was not thinking about bats at all. It was like 3:30, 4 o'clock. I was all ready to go to bed. I come down the stairs, and out of nowhere, one almost hits me in the face.
Yeah, that happened to me at FCI. I'm like, nope, I do not need something coming at my face that I cannot see, like, in the dark. Like, the ring sounded like feet running at us. Like, I literally jumped off the floor. I'm like, what the fuck? And
Well,
it's like,
after this one almost
God.
after this one almost killed me at Monroe, I went running through the base camp area into the kitchen, slammed the door, and heard this scream. And I'm like, what? The bat screamed. I'm like, that's not good.
Oh, that's
Well,
not good.
it wasn't the bat that screamed. It was poor Patience. I almost killed her trying to leave the room. Like, I didn't know she was there. I didn't see her. I had no idea. I almost ran through her. I was completely in self-preservation mode. That's where my bat trauma started.
And I know I just saw on TikTok your video of you wearing a bat costume running through the halls of a haunted location. I'm like, oh my God.
That was ISS. That was the nursing home. Did you like my background music? I believe I can fly.
Yes.
If you can't
get a bat onesie and do that at ISS.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Right? Oh my God. That was like, I watched it. I'm like, this is the best song to go with that video. Like,
sometimes I don't know why I do the things I do.
It's like, oh my God, he picked the right music for this. It's like, oh my God. But at ISS, I never saw bats, and I've been there twice. Luckily, I've never seen bats at ISS. Cross my fingers. In August, I don't see them again. I don't see any.
Oh my God. I just this past year, ISS Con, I had to have someone guide me out of the nursing home. Like, there'd been a group of people in there for a long time, and they finally convinced me to come over. They're like, we haven't seen any. So I go down there. I'm in there for about 10 minutes, not seeing any. And I'm starting to relax a little bit even. And I'm just kind of chilling in a doorway. And then I heard someone else scream. I didn't even need to see it. I doubled over. I had to have someone guide me out. Same thing happened to me at Moundsville. I had to have someone guide me out of solitary because I was freaking out so bad.
So we gotta watch you at OSR when we go in June. Make sure you don't have bats at OSR.
Oh my God. There's a video of me running away from the bats at OSR too. If you look at my TikTok, you can see me just coming to go around a corner. One comes and I turn around and I'm gone.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one. I was like, oh my God. We're gonna have
I will be wearing my beekeeper hat when we're at OSR.
Oh my God. This is gonna be great.
I will tell you though, that every time I've worn that beekeeper hat, I've not seen one single bat every time I've worn it.
It's like the bats don't like it, so they stay away from you.
Right. I mean, even going back to Moundsville in September, I had the hat on, didn't see one.
Nice. Kennedy says the bat video was the best of many highlights of the covered bridge event.
This last year's covered bridge was pretty epic, to say the least.
Oh my God, that sounds like amazing. Yeah, I have a feeling we'll do some more videos together. So what got you, because you're a Reiki master, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What got you interested in the whole Reiki master? Because I'm a Reiki master as well.
You know, I really didn't even know what it was until I was like 21 or 22 years old. And that's when I was really starting to explore my path as a witch. And one of my friends had thrown it out there to me and said, you know, this is something you might want to look into. Okay. And it just kind of sat there on the back burner for a couple years. And finally there came that time where it popped into my head again. And I went, ooh, I think this is something I really want to look into.
Yeah, definitely. Right.
And then it was just such a natural fit for me. It's just, I feel like those who are called home to Reiki, that's where they belong.
Totally. Like, I was signed up to do Reiki, I think 2 or 3 times, different people, teachers. And then I somehow found the correct person and did the Reiki class. And then I also did what they called it was oh, I can't think of what it's called, but it's more like light and balancing Reiki as well. So I have two kind of layers of Reiki, and I want to add crystal Reiki as well to mine. But I think you really have to be called into Reiki. You just can't be like one day you'll be like, oh, this seems interesting. You're kind of more guided into it. Like, I feel like the people who have that tug of the heart into Reiki, it fits more like together with them. Like, they're more called to it, like you said.
Right. And even going back to when it was first brought to my awareness, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll file that away in my brain. And it sat there for 2 years. And then 2 years later, it came forward and it was like, oh, I mean, it was time. That was the time.
Like with me, like I've had numerous Reiki sessions before I even felt like I could actually do the whole Reiki classes. Like, you have to work on yourself before you can really dive into learning something new is what I want to say. And then as you do the Reiki class, you can learn more about you as well, because you're diving into your chakras and what's balanced and what's unbalanced, and then taking that knowledge and helping other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just led a Reiki 1 attunement yesterday.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I haven't done Reiki in a long time. My mom used to own a shop up here in Minnesota, and since then we've closed, so I don't have like a space to work out of. So I haven't done my Reiki in a while, so I probably should just get re-tuned at this point and just be like, give me a refresher. Retune me here.
Yeah, it can't hurt.
Yeah, definitely. So you are a end of life midwife, right?
I prefer the term death midwife. Correct.
Yeah, midwife. So for people who don't know what that is, like me, what is it and how did you get into that aspect?
So with my training, I can work with a dying individual or their family to fulfill any emotional, spiritual, or practical needs. Essentially anything that is non-medical. I'm not medically trained. I'm not a doctor, so I don't get my hands involved in those things, but emotional, spiritual, or practical on whatever level that may be. And, you know, quite often Reiki might fit right into that on the emotional level or the spiritual level or even the practical level. So all of these things that I do seem to tie very nicely into that. But what took me down that road, I eventually found myself thinking, you know, if spirits can come to me after someone has died, why shouldn't I work with these people before they die and like have this connection? So there's already something there. And maybe after they do pass, if then they need to come to me, there's already a connection. So that's what took me down the road to receive that training.
That sounds really interesting. Huh. I really never dived into that whole aspect of things, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense, having that connection before they pass and helping them after they pass to have that connection already.
And as a result of that work, 2 other things that I've become super passionate about are home funerals, like reclaiming the right for us to care for our own dead and taking it out of the hands of the funeral industry.
Oh, okay.
And also alternatives to traditional burial. Like nowadays, there's so many other things we can do. There's the tree pods, there's the mushroom suits, there's the coral reefs. The coral reefs, this would never be for me because I'm not a water person. But there's a way that you can have ashes put in an artificial reef. And as those reefs are being put into the ocean, into parts of the ocean where wildlife has died out, wildlife is now being repopulated in those areas.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard of that. Hey, if you go into the ocean, you don't have to worry about bats, so.
That's true.
You don't have to worry about sharks.
I would almost take the bats before the sharks. I'll be very honest. I've had 2 near drowning experiences in this lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
So being put in the water, nope, just no. I'll take the bats.
Put you in a bat house.
Oh, that would be horrible. You know, they say they can shoot you up into space. I'm kind of
Yes, I've heard that. I'm like, that is interesting.
that might be something for me. I like heights, so I like to be up in the air. I like to jump out of airplanes. So
You got some guts. I could never do that. Nope. I can fly good with, but getting up like on a Ferris wheel or anything high, roller coaster, nope. I'm good.
I'm pretty fearless when it comes to heights. It's amazing I've never broken anything falling off of something or falling out of something that I shouldn't be in.
Yeah, I had a past life, and they said one of my past lives, I died falling from the heights, so that's probably why I have a fear of heights as much as I do.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
But I could fly. I could fly comfortably. I fly a lot, and just nope. If I go on a Ferris wheel roller coaster, I will have a full blown panic attack.
Oh,
So I can't do that. Hey, but I did get on top of ISS and looked out, so that was a good thing.
excellent. That's definitely a big step.
Yeah, I looked over. I'm like, oh, I'm really high.
During Covered Bridge, I went over there early on in the day, like before they opened for day roams,
And
I did Tai Chi up on the roof.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was like, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
We did the sunset on top of ISS, and I was like, you could see everything up here. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and especially October during Covered Bridge, the fall colors. Oh,
Okay, now I kind of want to go to Covered Bridge in October.
you should.
So we may have to hang out a little more in this year, I think.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Like my friend Stacy said, but you can fly. I can fly perfectly, Stacy. I don't know how, but I can. I don't know. I look out the window and I'm perfectly fine, but
I think there's something about being entirely enclosed. In a roller coaster and a Ferris wheel, you're not entirely closed.
Nope. No.
But I mean, if you needed to on the plane, you can shut the shade and tune it out. So I mean, yeah, exactly.
You can take medication and go to sleep if I need to, right?
Right.
So you are a tarot reader.
Mm-hmm.
Where on your spiritual journey did you kind of start doing like the whole card reading professionally?
Early 20s again. A lot of things happened to me in my early 20s, actually.
I've been awakening that in your 20s. It sounds like.
I really did. There was like this 3 or 4 year window, like going through my late teens, where things were gradually starting to move that direction. And then like 21, 22 hit, and it was like, boom, everything just landed all at once. And that's really when I started to read cards on a more professional level. I mean, at that point too, I'd already been working with them for over 10 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And I definitely want to get a card reading when I see you in June. Maybe we could do a trade. I'll do your aura photography and you could do a reading.
I would love that.
Yes. I'm definitely bringing my aura photography. I know. I'm probably just going to do like 5 or 6 readings because my laptop dies fast.
Oh.
But we'll definitely figure something out. So what is your favorite tarot deck? Or does it change on a daily basis with you?
No, it definitely does not change. My favorite is absolutely the Wild Unknown. This is my third copy of the Wild Unknown. The first 2 like gave up their ghost, like they just couldn't handle it anymore because they'd been so used and abused. I mean, you can see that these are very well bent. So I'm thinking before this year is over, I'll be on my 4th copy of the Wild Unknown.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful deck. I love that deck. I'm more towards like oracle decks personally. Like I started diving into oracle decks, but I haven't got to the point that I can sit down and give readings yet. But something come about probably this year.
I think I own probably close to 1,000 different decks. I mean, some are Oracle, they're not all tarot.
Hmm.
But I just keep landing on this deck over and over again. I love it. And I often joke with people that are getting readings from me too. I'm like, this deck can have a sense of humor. It can be a complete asshole. I mean,
Yep.
it just does what it does. It's amazing. And some of the depictions too, the artistry is just so unbelievable. Like the Fool card in this deck is my absolute favorite over any other deck's depiction of the Fool card.
Mhm.
Instead of the man about to go off the edge of the cliff, we've got the little bird on the branch. It's about to take that first flight, and he's going to land on his face and make a big mess. But then he's going to get up and he's going to soar. I love it. It's just so powerful.
Yeah, that deck is powerful. Like for me, my favorite Oracle deck is the two Moonology decks, the first and second one. I combine them. And that deck is just like what you said. It can be an ass. It can be truthful. It can be funny. It can be straight to the point. Like no bullshit added. No sugarcoating. We're just going straight to it. And I'm like, this deck, you don't even need the book. You just know exactly what it means right away when you see the picture. It's amazing.
Right. I don't think I knew there was a second Moonology deck. I've got the first one just over to my left, but I don't think I knew there was a second one.
It's called, I want to say Manifestations. I put those two together and they are amazing Moonology decks.
Filing that away in my brain.
There's a third one I don't like. The third one doesn't seem as like the other two. Yep, it's Moonology Manifestation. And it's like a purple cover box. It's really pretty. I love it. There's a third one called Messages from the Moons.
Ooh, I will file all of that away in my brain.
Right? Yeah.
Because even if I end up never using a deck, I just love collecting them. Now the other big thing I've been getting into collecting is Ouija boards. I've been just collecting more and more and more. I think I'm probably up close to 40 different boards.
Oh, wow. Holy crap. You host a special event at FCI Con, I think a few times throughout the year. It's the paranormal, the psychic walkthrough or psychic paranormal investigation.
Actually, our first ever psychic hunt was just this past November, and it went really well. So we are doing 3 of them throughout the course of this year. We've got one in May, one in the summer, I think August, and then another one in November. So yes, I will be doing 3 different psychic hunts at FCI this year.
Well, what can people expect from that type of event that you host there?
Well, like our traditional public hunts, I mean, people will come in, they'll get a tour, there'll be food, they'll get some individual rotations through the floors, but the rotations aren't going to be our standard rotations. Like normally, we've got one rotation that focuses on trigger objects, one rotation that does divination. That's always my rotation. Mm-hmm. I mean, I will really be taking people in so they're experiencing on the same level I am. I'll be taking them on a journey. And the feedback I get from when I do events like this, it almost always someone says to me, I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah.
So that's my goal with all of my events. I want to engage people's senses, all of their psychic senses, whether they're in touch with them or not, whether they know they have them or not, where they have a standout moment and go, wow, I didn't know I could do that.
Right.
And with almost all of my psychic hunts, too, I tend to offer some sort of seance type event.
Ooh, I might have to look at dates and come down to FCI again and do that.
I'll send you the dates for sure. And
yeah,
I mean, like I said before, I love a good seance.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Yeah, I love seances. Well, I love them when they're done correctly, I should say.
Right.
If you don't do a seance correctly, it could cause more problems than good.
Right. Absolutely. I'm going to tell you one of my favorite stories from doing a seance at FCI. So we had a birthday hunt for Jane Householder. Jane Householder is or was a resident and inmate of FCI who is said to have died after her dress started on fire and she burned up and died several hours later. So we did a public hunt for her on her birthday, and I had picked up flowers for her and we were doing some sessions to interact with her. Well, months before her hunt, I had walked into one of the two possible rooms where her fire might have happened,
Mm-hmm.
and I could see an elderly woman in the room. An elderly woman wearing an oversized gray sweater.
Okay,
And
don't
she
tell me
looked,
which room. Don't tell me which room. Is it on the 3rd floor? I want to
yes.
say. Okay, looking down the 3rd floor, women's side. Because I
Mhm.
remember a feeling of something like this when I was there. Is it? Want to say it's on the right side of the hallway.
If you're looking down the women's side, it's actually in that back bump out where the
Okay.
kids' room is. It's back
Yeah.
there. So it would be on the right if you're looking down the women's side.
Okay.
But
That's
as
what
I'm seeing this woman, I'm thinking, who is this? I've never connected with her before. I just need to spend some time here. And as I sat there, I'm focusing on this woman's face and I'm going, she looks lost. It's like, I think she's got dementia.
Mm-hmm.
So then the longer I sit there, I can see the familiar figure of Jane Householder walk in and say to this woman, Vivian, I'm so cold. Please give me my sweater back.
Oh, wow.
And Vivian looks at her just that lost kind of look and says, that Janie, so sweet of her to give me her sweater.
Oh, wow.
And then after they have the exchange again, I see Jane just kind of storm out of the room, no doubt going to go light the fire that ended up setting her dress on fire.
Oh, wow.
So during Jane's birthday hunt, when I did a board session, I told everybody that was in attendance, I'm going to open the floor where you can ask questions. We're not going to ask her how she died. We're not going to ask her if she knows she's dead. That's off limits.
That's
But
definitely off limits.
anything else that's respectful, go for it. And one of the people asked Jane, what was your favorite hobby? And on the board, she spelled out knitting. And I almost threw the board. I'm like, oh my God, she knit the gray sweater. I got so excited. I had no idea that she made the sweater until months later, her birthday hunt, when we had a little seance to try to get in touch with her.
Oh, that's amazing, though. Like,
It was epic.
that would be epic.
Other really cool things that came out that night, we asked her how she felt because we were all there for her. She spelled out love.
Oh.
And she also told us that she wanted us to leave one of her flowers for Vivian.
Oh, that's so nice. That's awesome.
It was pretty special.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah. Now I can't wait to go back to FCI and hang out. Like, yeah, I miss FCI. That was a fun night that I had.
It's such a great place.
Do you do the Estes method when you ever investigate?
I do. I do some different things with it. Like for my psychic hunts, sometimes I will put somebody under and then I'll go sit in another corner with noise canceling headphones on, but no radio.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say what's coming to me.
Oh,
and then we'll see if it lines up with the person who's under.
I've never thought about that.
Or another thing I will do on my psychic hunts, I'll have somebody go under and I will not wear anything. I'll actually sit and listen, but I will write out what's coming to me. And then we'll see if anything lines up with what's said. I can't tell you how many times I've written something and then the person who's under says it seconds later.
Like automatic writing?
Kind of. I'm more automatic writing to me is when I let the spirit do the writing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is more like me just writing what's coming to me.
Okay. Yeah.
No, when I do automatic writing at FCI, it's usually in the children's room, and I'm letting the children draw pictures with my hands.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've done that at Waverly as well. That was my first time doing that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Waverly and I have a love-hate relationship. I don't know if I can go back there.
Oh, I can't wait to go back there. I had such a good night there, and I only saw one bat the whole night.
Only one?
Only one.
That's surprising with Waverly.
I know. It was September. That's the kind of time of year where they kind of start to retreat a little bit. So
yeah. Well, Waverly, I had my first, like, the first time I went was 2012. I ditched my last few days of high school and went on a paranormal road trip. I wasn't open as a psychic medium empath. Then the year after, we did just a normal, like, public ghost tour type of thing, because my mom hadn't been, my fiance at the time hadn't been. So, like, we're in town, let's go do it. I've been there, I know the history, I'll be fine. Nope. I had been open as a psychic medium at that point, but I didn't learn how to shut myself down.
Oh.
That was my issue. I was fine on the main floor. I was fine on the second. I was fine on the third. I was fine on the fifth. But as soon as we got close to the fourth floor where the OR was, I stepped over the threshold of the OR. It felt like my lungs were being ripped open, tubes getting poured down into my lungs. And I just bent over, hysterically crying, screaming. Like, I couldn't move. And then my mom pulled me out, and all I saw was black shadows, like, circling me. I was like, nope, can't do this no more.
Wow.
It took Scotty Warwick and a couple of my psychic friends at the time to get me to calm down back at the hotel, because I was so emotionally drained and psychically drained. And he goes, "Did you shut yourself down?" I'm like, "Nope, I don't know how." He goes, "You sit your butt down and we're going to go through this." But yeah, Waverly was where I got my psychic attack. And I'm like, part of me wants to go back. I want to go back, but with the right people. So if something happens again, they know how to take me out correctly.
Right. And, I think now at this point, you've grown enough too that you'd be able to handle it differently. So, I mean, I fully support the idea of going back with the right people. Yes. But I mean, you've definitely grown too. So you would be able to handle things a bit differently.
Yeah. And like, I do Estes method, which I have the radio on or the spirit box, but I don't listen to that. I go into a trance and just let spirit come out, talk through me. And I can only do it with the correct people with me, because if I go in too long, taking me out can be really hard and really, like, the spirits will keep me in it. So I have to be careful when I do this method too. So
I've definitely had that experience where I've gone like on this little astral journey. It's like I wasn't even there anymore. And they had a little bit of a difficult time getting me back. That happened not that long ago at FCI, actually.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't do Estes at FCI, surprisingly. Maybe it'll change in October.
When I come out of Estes, more often than not, I have absolutely no memory of anything I've said. Just like when I channel, I have no memory of what I've said.
Nope. I always have to make sure somebody's videotaping me. I have to make sure there's a camera on me, a voice recorder, so I can go back and kind of re-listen and re-watch what I say. And it's really fun when I have my Jeff Fett box with me and put it on next to me, and it says the same thing that comes out of my mouth. It's like, you can't make that up. You have a box sitting next to me, and then you have me. You can't make that up.
Right.
But I know there's a couple people that want readings. So how do you want to do these? Do you want a question, or do you just need their name?
If they want to ask a question, they can. So I will leave that up to them.
Okay.
This can be as specific as they might want it to be.
Okay. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly. Wonana. If you have a question, feel free to ask that question. Otherwise, he can give a general reading, a 1-card reading.
I'll give her a couple seconds if she wants to ask something specific.
Yes, if you want. Let's see. It's always like a 5-second delay, anyways. So for people who are commenting in the chat that they want a reading, let us know if you have a question or if you want a general reading. Kennedy says, I like going on little adventures when I do Estes.
Yes, indeed. I know.
Kennedy, are you gonna be at FCI Con or ISS Con? Because I want to do an Estes with you, late girl. I've seen her thing. I've seen her Estes on Ghost Mob, so I want to do one in person with her.
I don't know if she'll be at those, but I can promise you she'll be at Gettysburg.
She better be at Gettysburg. I don't see one from her yet, so we're gonna hop to the next one. If you want to do a reading for her, a general one, and if
I will do that. Now, I was mixing these when her name first came up on the screen, and then I just kind of let my hand rest, and I went to cut just like I would any other reading, and I dug right to the bottom. So,
wow.
Rowena, I dug right to the bottom of the deck for your cut. In this moment, I kind of have an idea in my head of why I might have done that. I'm going to hang on to that for a moment until after we see what your card is. Wow. We have our 7 of Wands. And when I pulled this card for you, you may have seen that when I turned that over, I went, wow. With that, I felt my shoulders relax. Going back to why I dug so deep for you, I feel like that's very symbolic of who you are and how you approach life, how you approach yourself, your personal growth, and getting to know yourself. You're not afraid to pick at the layers, to dig, and to do the shadow work. This to me represents the next level of that for you. It's like, you know, you've come so far, you've done so much. Where you're at right now, you could stay there if you wanted to, but why would you want to stay there when there's always more layers of depth we can pull back? And this coming up tells me that right now is the time for you to start picking at those layers.
And she says, nailing it. So you nailed it for her. Let's see. The next one, we have Shelley Prout.
Give me just one moment to mix that back in, because who knows if that same card wants to make an appearance.
I've seen that happen with people doing online readings. It's the same card. It's like the general message for the night.
Nothing surprises me anymore. Nothing. Just wait until some of my books come out. You'll see why nothing surprises me. Okay, Shelley, I'm about to cut for you. Your cut was pretty much exactly middle of the road. So with Rowena's reading, when I said I feel like the fact that I dug so deep, that means something. I feel like it means something for you too, Shelley, that I dug so toward the middle. I feel like that middle ground represents a sense of balance. And here we have our Ace of Cups. There we go. I couldn't go the right direction. Oh, there we go. Now we can see it. In terms of balance, Shelley, no matter where we are in life, we're always going to be in a situation where we have to do things for other people. There's always going to be things that we have to do. There's no way around it. And one of those things that I think we have to do that we so often sweep under the rug is take the time to put ourselves first. Yes, to put ourselves first. We so often don't do that. And that to me feels like the piece that might be a little out of balance for you right now. You know, I feel like there is an invitation for you. Ooh, invitation. I love that word. An invitation for you to take some time to put yourself first, to put yourself ahead of others, which may not be a very familiar energy for you. And if that's the case, that tells me when you do finally arrive there and go, you know, I am going to put myself first. That just means that you've earned it. So embrace that when it comes. You owe it to yourself.
I know Shelley, and that is dead on for her. That is dead on for her. Next one, if you want to.
Yep, I'm going to mix them back up.
And it's Nettie P. Would love a reading. So I'm assuming it would be a general reading.
No, she said, may I get a love reading?
Oh, a love
So
reading.
I think she has a specific focus there.
Yes, sorry. I didn't read it full.
That's okay.
There's so many questions coming in. Yes, a love reading.
Got it. All right, Nettie, I'm going to cut for you. I also landed kind of middle of the road with my cut. In a traditional deck, this would be the King of Cups. In this deck, it's the Father of Cups. So same energy that the King of Cups would carry. Since we're talking about love, I don't necessarily feel the need to apply this in the context of current relationships, past relationships. I would really like to leave this open so this energy can go and sit anywhere and everywhere that it's supposed to. There's a lot about you that says you bring some really powerful things to the table in the context of any relationship you're in. And when I say any, I don't want to limit that just to love. You know, you've got your strengths that you bring to the table. And it seems to me that because you carry so many strengths with you, you might end up in a situation with someone who doesn't balance that out. There's not an equal exchange of energy. The strengths you bring to the table tends to lead you down a road where you might find yourself being taken advantage of, whether it's intentional or unintentional, either way. But I think it would be very worthwhile for you in all relationships, not just romantic, but all, to demand an equal and not settle for anything less than that.
Awesome. No. Brandon would like a general reading.
I'm going to mix these.
Nettie says this is right on.
I love what I'm getting tonight, in that so far it's all been just super empowering for each person. It's like stepping into the power and,
Stepping into
you
the
know,
power.
taking control. And I love when that's what I can give.
Definitely. I
All
feel
right.
like it's a very empowering night. That's for sure.
I am about to cut for Brandon. I keep landing right middle of the road in my cut after that first one. Ooh. So in a traditional deck, this would be the Page of Swords. Anytime the Daughter card comes up in this deck, there is a sense of innocence that comes with this card. And the more we live our lives, the more experiences we have in our lives, that sense of innocence seems to get farther and farther away. Whether this is experiences we've had as a result of the people in our lives, or it's experiences we've had through the work that we've done and situations we've ended up in. Sometimes we just have to brush the slate clean and go back to that sense of innocence and look at everything around us like we're looking at it for the first time. Sometimes when we're looking at everything through the same lens, our eyes just get tired and we're not seeing clearly what's there in front of us, what needs to change and how to change it. Go back to that sense of innocence that may have been swept under the rug, so to speak. Look at things around you from that perspective and see what that allows you to do next. That was a very direct statement. See what that allows you to do next. What decision might be made from there?
Another empowering message coming through, that's for sure.
I always have to listen to myself. Every time I do a reading, I always have to listen to the exact words that come out of my mouth. And sometimes I'll go to say something and I'll pull it back before I say it. Like, nope, that's not it. And then I'll say it just a little bit differently and I'll think, what? It's the same thing. It's like, no, it's really not. Sometimes
No,
just
it's
the
not.
slightest change in words is what it takes to convey the correct message.
Absolutely. Kennedy would like a general one.
And one tried to fly out of the deck.
Brandon says thank you.
You're welcome. I'm setting aside the one that tried to fly out of the deck, and I'm going to keep mixing these for a minute and see what I land on organically.
It flies out like a bat.
It kind of did, and you know, ironically, the Hanged Man in this deck is a bat.
That's interesting.
Ah! I couldn't have done that if I tried.
I predicted that one. It's going to be a bat.
Like I said, this deck can have a sense of humor, and it can be an asshole. So this is what I cut. This depiction of the Hanged Man takes me to like an above and beyond. So often with the Hanged Man, I connect into the energy of being stuck. But this depiction I start to think about perspective. It's the second time I've used that word tonight. Perspective. So with him up here, hanging upside down, his perspective on everything is a little bit different from what mine might be, from what yours might be. And it's that change of perspective that seems to be the most important takeaway from this card. So something you're working on, something you're doing right now, looking at that through someone else's eyes. And I know exactly where that goes. I'm going to leave that there for you because you know where that goes too. Now, since this tried to jump out of the deck, I'm going to give that to you as well. And all I'm really going to say about that is be ready for the next part of the adventure.
Was that?
Those, I know to those of you listening, those of both might have sounded a little bit more cryptic than some of the rest, but I know she'll know exactly where those land.
Yeah. Kennedy. Well, yes. Don Tonyman would love a general reading. And then we have one more after this.
I'm going to mix for a second.
I love how that one was a bat. After I said that was a bat, it flew out like a bat.
It's this deck. It's what it does. It just, it has a mind of its own.
Kennedy says, well, that makes total sense. Bring it on.
Ooh. We have a familiar card. That's the second time I've pulled this one tonight. And this time I pulled it from relatively near the top when I cut. The impressions I got when I went to cut from near the top, I feel like there's something very surface level that's going to prove to be very important to you. When I say surface level, earlier I said to someone something about digging deep, going for those layers. The energy here says that if you go too deep, you're going to miss something. And that's not me telling you don't go deep. You shouldn't do that. You should go deep, dig. But just be careful that you don't miss something that's right at the top. And that can apply to investigating. It can apply to your meditative work, anything where you might tend to dig deep. Just don't skim over the surface. There's some important stuff there that shouldn't be ignored right now.
Interesting. Feel free to shuffle. And then we have one more. Susan would love a health reading if you could.
Absolutely.
Then we'll see what my card is.
Absolutely. If it's the bat, I'm going home.
You're going to hide from me a FCI card if it is the bat.
I'll be wearing my beekeeper hat no matter what. I don't care how foolish I look when I wear that thing. I'm living my best life, free from fear.
Don says, thank you.
All right, Susan, I'm about to cut for you. My cut landed near the top. Yes. Susan, I drew the Magician for you. I love this card so much. I actually love it so much that I have it with me at all times.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
I love how we have all 4 suits represented here. Our swords, our wands, our pentacles, and our cups. That to me is balance. Now, you asked for a health reading, and when I use the word balance, I could go down this road of let's bring into balance what's not. No, that's not what I'm feeling. Rather, what I'm getting here is that when it comes to our health, it's inevitable that at some point we face something that we're not entirely in control of. We've all been there or will be there. But despite that, there are always things that we are in control of or can be in control of. So anything that relates to your health, and we've got our 4 here: sword, wand, pentacle, cup. I'm going to call that physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Not so much about making sure those things are in balance, but the things you can do to tend those things to make sure that your health is where it needs to be, that you're doing everything you can to maintain what's there. Again, this is going back to that idea of empowering. Even when there's something that might feel like it's out of our control, well, there's always something that's within our control. We just have to harness that and run with it.
We have one more quick reading. It's from Paranormal Lockdown. I'm assuming it's Chris behind the keyboard. He wants a reading if Lockdown will be a successful event in July, which I already know it's going to be. So,
Well, let's see what we've got here. Even for a single card reading, a question such as that, is this going to be a successful event? That to me is very much a question that could be answered with a simple yes or no, but that's not me. I would never answer a question with just a simple yes or no, because I keep talking about peeling back layers. And that's what I'm going to do here. Our Mother of Pentacles, our Queen of Pentacles. The figure we have here, we have our mother and our baby dear. We have a figure who is very nurturing in nature. If this event is going to be successful, which I believe it will, you're going to have to continue to nurture this event like it's your baby, like it's your child, taking the same kind of pride in that event that this figure would take in raising its young. So if you keep doing the work, yes, it's going to be a successful event. Treat it like it's your baby.
absolutely. And if you want, you can do a general reading from me.
Of course.
And Susan says, thanks for the reading. It makes sense. Interesting you word the word balance. That is exactly what I have been trying to find.
I love balance. It's necessary. If it's the bat, I'm going home.
I would laugh.
Happily, I don't have far to go since I'm at home. Oh, it is not the bat.
Oh,
It's-
thank God.
It's potentially my number 2 favorite card in the deck, next to the Magician. The High Priestess.
Ooh.
Yes.
I like
I
that.
love I love when her energy comes around. Her highly intuitive, highly spiritual nature. This takes me right back into what we talked about before with the idea of you going back to Waverly. And this isn't telling me, yes, you should go, no, you shouldn't. This is telling me that what I said about you having grown so much since then, this validates that for me. You
Yeah,
have grown in so many ways through your abilities, the work that you do. And this also tells me that that journey is not done. You're not done growing. There's more to learn, there's more to experience. There's still a lot left ahead of you, but this is also a little bit of a reminder that even though we have come so far, we're not done.
we're not done. We're always
I
learning.
mean, we will be a student until the day we die. That's how it should be.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. What events do you have coming up besides FCI Con, MadCon, and ISS Con?
Oh my goodness. I've got so many great things going on. The weekend of February 22nd, I'll be out at the old Paulding Jail. I will be doing a seance in the basement at midnight on Friday. And then Saturday, I've got 3 back-to-back events there. I'll be doing a 3-hour psychic arts workshop, a group past life regression, and then an investigation.
Where is the old Paulding Paulding jail?
Paulding, Ohio. It's not too terribly far from Fort Wayne.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking it's somewhere in Ohio.
Yep. So tickets are available for all of those events. I see there you've got the Girls and Ghouls Slumber Party at Wildwood coming up in March. I'll be a
Love that
special
place.
guest there. I do think there are still just a couple of tickets left for that.
That is an amazing location. I love Wildwood. I love Brooke and her hubby.
Absolutely.
And then we have FCI Con June 21st.
Yes. And then right after that, I will be hosting an event at Bill Manor the last Saturday of June. I'll be doing a trio of events again, where I'll be having a psychic arts workshop, a gallery reading, and then an investigation.
Oh, awesome. And where
Yes.
is that one? Ohio?
Yes, that's in Fremont, Ohio.
Okay. See, I just need to move to Ohio. I just need to move to Ohio. That's all.
Right? I didn't realize how many documented hauntings we had when I moved here. I mean, I, of course, moved here and then settled down in a relationship. That's kind of what brought me here.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know until later on that we were so haunted.
Right?
Like, everything happens for a reason.
And Ohio is like almost like middle of the country. So you can go to the Midwest, you can go south, you can go east. The farthest is west, but
Right?
west is too expensive for me. I'd rather go to the east or the like Ohio area.
Right.
And then you
I
have
think go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I think I also sent you something for the event out at Fort Duffield later this summer, too.
Oh, yes. Let me see if I can pull that up. Give me one sec. Yes.
Technically, that's spring, not summer. I'm in spring. I want summer. I'm tired of this winter.
I'm so summer right now, too. I'm like
tired of it.
Let's see here. There you go. The trifecta.
There we go. Yes, that's out at Fort Duffield and the Real Ditto House. So I'll be doing some gallery readings there. There'll be ghosts and UFOs and Bigfoot.
Awesome. I've heard amazing things about that 2 locations. Love
Great locations for sure.
And then we have ISS Con August 30th.
Yep, last weekend of August.
And then we have MadCon middle September. I think it's like the 21st.
Yep, that's correct.
See, that's the only one I can't go to is MadCon, the biggest one. I can't.
You've been to Madison though, right?
I've been to Madison twice. First time I did a day tour with Shelly, and then I went back last year for an overnight. And I love Madison. I love the mirror room. I don't think I would ever do an Estes method in the mirror room again. I had the box going. I had blindfolds on. And all of a sudden I open my eyes and all I see is a male face coming at me to my face. I'm like, nope, done.
Wow.
Nope, I'm done. Nope. Yeah.
Yeah, Madison's intense.
Yeah. And I think the superintendent or whatever he goes by doesn't like me at Madison either. So that works. But
He tends to not like strong female figures.
no, he does not. And
So, I mean,
I'm definitely a strong female energy.
right. So there's a strike right there. Yeah, he's not going to like that.
Nope. No. He did not like me that night. So I can't wait to go back to Madison. It won't be for MadCon, but I want to go back sometime either this year or next year and do another investigation because
Oh yeah.
I love Madison. I love just going to these locations and taking photography. That's my thing. I love investigating, but I love doing the whole photography aspect as well. So
In September, Kathy, the house psychic over at Madison, she and I did a guided walkthrough together of the cemetery next to Madison.
oh wow.
Yeah, I'll probably do that again this year too.
That sounds interesting. Well, thank you for coming on. I can't
You're
wait to
welcome.
meet you in a few months. I can't say couple because it's farther than that. We're like 4.5 months out from FCICon, but I would definitely do a reading for both of us and get to hang out and talk more.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on again, and
You're welcome.
see you super soon. And we get to
You
see a
bet.
lot of each other this year. So
Yes.
have a great night.
You too.
Bye. So that was Christopher. If you want, you can go to his Facebook page and find out how to book a private reading with him. Next week we have, I gotta look at my calendar here, you guys. Sorry. Next week we have Stacy Lee, who is a psychic medium, Reiki master, a cryptid hunter, and a paranormal investigator. One of my best friends. So she will be on next week. So join us next Sunday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. The following weekend we have Katie McRoy, who is the person that is putting on booze on the battleship. So super excited to talk to her. She is a author. She is a psychic medium, Reiki master, all traits person. We have some amazing guests coming up this year, diving into paranormal, true crime, metaphysical, pagan, witchcraft. So we have a very wide variety of shows coming up very soon. So keep an eye on our Facebook page for all announcements. Go in and enter a raffle on our Facebook page. It is a $15 entry, and you get to win a bracelet, a t-shirt, and maybe some other goodies. So make sure you join in. And I hope to see you guys back here next Sunday at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Have a great night, everyone.